Hi everyone, Lisa's Movie Reviews. Today is the video number 3 of my most favorite fantasy movies. Number 3 most favorite fantasy movie today I'm doing a small review of is The Neverending Story from 1984. Well, there's no art on the DVD. So that's the DVD of it. I have another one that has the second movie of it, but we're not getting to the second movie. That movie was not much to talk about. Now, the movie's directed by Wolfgang Petersen. Barret Oliver plays Bastian, and Noah Hathaway plays Atreyu. The music is by Klaus Daldinger and Giorgio Moroder, I think. I'm going to give you a little small summary about it. Hopefully it stays small. Bastian Balthazar Bucks, nice name, is a shy and outcast bibliophile 10-year-old raised by his widowed father, teased by bullies from his school. On his way to school, he hides from the bullies in a bookstore, interrupting the grumpy bookseller, Mr. Coriander, who also appears in the sequel. I don't know if he appears in the third movie or not. Bastian asks about one of the books he sees called The Neverending Story, but Mr. Coriander advises against it. With his curiosity piqued, Bastian seizes the book, leaving a note promising to return it, and hides in the school attic to read it. The book describes the fantasy world of Fantasia, slowly being devoured by a malevolent force called the Nothing. Fantasia's ruler, the childlike empress, has fallen ill, and Atreyu is tasked to discover the cure, believing that once the empress is well, then nothing will no longer be a threat. Atreyu, this is like, I'm passing a whole bunch of other parts of the story, but I can't make this video that long, sorry. Maybe a half hour to hour into the movie, Atreyu finds a series of paintings depicting his quest of what he's gone through, and different places he's been to, different people creatures he's met, and different tasks that he's had to endure. He finds a series of paintings depicting his quest. Gmork, which is like this, like a werewolf kind of thing that's been hunting him to try to stop him, reveals himself, having been lying in wait, and explains that Fantasia represents humanity's imagination, and that the Nothing represents adult apathy and cynicism against it. Which means the Nothing is destroying humanity's imagination and being able to put yourself into an imagination in a fantastical world of story. Atreyu fends off and kills Gmork as the Nothing begins to consume the ruins. Falkor, which is that flying dragon puppy dog thing is what I used to call him. Falkor, who has managed to locate the Orin, which is the little medallion the childlike empress gives Atreyu, he rescues Atreyu in time. The two find themselves in a void with only small fragments of Fantasia remaining. In fear they have failed when they spot the Empress's ivory tower among the fragments. That's what she lives inside, is an ivory tower. Inside, Atreyu apologizes for failing the Empress, but she assures him he has succeeded in bringing to her a human child who has been following his quest. What is that blinking light? I think my light's going out of whack, I'm sorry. Brought him a human child following his quest, which is Bastian. She further explains that just as Bastian is following Atreyu's story, others are following Bastian's, making this part of the Neverending Story. As the Nothing begins to consume the tower, the Empress pleads directly to Bastian, who's reading this book, to call out her new name. But in amazement that he himself has been incorporated into the story as the child they were looking for. Is that bugging you? I'm sorry, guys. I have to turn it off. Hold on. Highly not professional. Now it's probably too dark. I'm sorry, guys. Where was I at? She asked him to call his name, but in amazement that he himself has been incorporated into the story as the child they are looking for, he denies the events as just being a story, and Atreyu dies. I guess he just fell down in the movie. Bastian runs to the window and calls out the name he has selected into the storm, Moonchild, and loses consciousness. When he wakes, he finds himself in blackness with the Empress, with only a grain of sand, the last bit of Fantasia remaining. The Empress tells Bastian that he has the power to bring Fantasia back with his imagination. Bastian recreates Fantasia, and he flies on Falcor's back. He sees the land and its inhabitants restored, and that Atreyu has been reunited with Artax. That was his horse. Now, basically how he's able to restore Fantasia is that she says that he has wishes. Any wish he wants, he makes a wish, every part of Fantasia will be restored. Now, this movie to me is great because it's a literal escaping into a book story. Because he becomes part of the book. He becomes part of the Neverending Story. They're looking for a kid who has imagination to bring this world back that's being destroyed. And he's the kid that would save him. It has in the movie, one of the most saddest movie moments ever. And if I ever made a list about the saddest movie moments, that's going to be on there. Is his, Atreyu's horse, Artax, dies in the swamps of sadness. I'm not going to get to it, it makes me upset, I'm sorry. It has a great soundtrack. I've had the soundtrack somewhere. It's one of my favorite fantasy soundtracks by Giorgio Moroder. He did a lot of good soundtracks in the 80s. It's a great idea, and it has great visual effects, nothing too fancy. Good costumes and makeup, though some might disagree. Some people said that the costumes and makeup seemed really cheap. I don't agree. I think the Rockbiter itself was a great visual effect, and I don't know how they made it. I've never really watched a making of the movie. People really don't like Falcor. I really got a kick out of the dragon dog flying thing. I mean, I thought he was cool. I like the visuals of Fantasia, like the Ivory Tower. I liked a lot of things about it. I think one of my favorite things is I loved Atreyu's determination to save Fantasia and the childlike Empress. I mean, this little boy, he goes through absolute hell on a quest to find something. He's not really told. He's told he has to find a cure. So where the heck is he supposed to go to find a cure? He has no idea. So, and he leads them to this place saying, oh, you need to do this, and he leads them to this place saying, oh, you need to do that, and he says, oh, the Empress needs a name. Well, a name, I can give her any name. And he says, no, only a certain child can give her the name. Well, where's this kid? Well, obviously, it's Bastian reading the book. So, to me, this movie really appealed to me as a kid. I mean, I just, because I'm one of those, even when I was a kid, I was one of those that really prefer to read books. I didn't really watch TV much. I didn't really watch movies much. I watched sometimes Reading Rainbow and Fraggle Rock, sometimes Sesame Street, but, you know, I was more outside doing things, and I was more reading. You know, reading Wizard of Oz and, oh, just the classics like Moby Dick and stuff like that. So I know what it's like to really get into a story and what the imagination does for you. And that's exactly what this movie's about. Bastian's all about books, and he gets right into the stories, and this movie literally is the one that saves the world and Fantasia. And because he's thinking he's being bullied, he's not worth nothing, he misses his mom who died, and books was his way of getting out of the world, and this way he saves something, and it gives him so much more confidence in himself at the end of the movie. So this movie for me got a B+. Like in my other videos, I'm not really going to the cons about this because I'm telling you why it's my favorite fantasy movies, number 3 of my favorite fantasy movies. You've got to check out Neverending Story. It is a classic. It's just all around amazing, and some critics give it some strife, and I don't think it deserves it. I think it was a great idea, original kind of concept. I wouldn't really watch part 2. I think there's a part 3 as well. I've never seen part 3. I've seen part 2, and it has Jonathan Brandis. That was the reason why I watched it, because I really like Jonathan Brandis. It's not a bad movie, but this one's better. The originals are always better. So, check out Neverending Story, guys. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching. Bye.